behind one of our cornfields.
Oh, how wonderful. Wow, that's great. Terrific. Welcome, Judith and Kelman. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And I will leave Dan to do it and not just hog the limelight here. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
About 30 seconds. Wait for Jen to get. Well, good afternoon once again as we continue with day 2 of the Ag Innovation Showcase. Glad you're still with us, and we are up to our last panel of the day and of the showcase for 2020. In our final panel of the day and for the showcase, we're going to shine a very bright light on women in agriculture and their role in farming. In fact, did you know that on average, women represent 43% of the world's agricultural workforce, and women produce over half of the world's food? Moderating this panel is a strong farmer herself who farms with her husband in central Minnesota. She's also the Agriculture Utilization Research Institute, or AURI, Senior Director of Commercialization, Jen Wagner-Lahr. Jen, the panel is yours.
All right, well, thanks, Dan, and good afternoon. With that introduction, I think you just saved me my first 2 sentences, so we've got a time saver here. So first of all, I'd love to welcome everyone to the Women in Farming and Agriculture session. And a very big thank you to our LARDA team for showcasing women leaders. Not only in this session, we've got 2 great women leaders here, but also I think throughout the entire day 1 and day 2 of the showcase, you've done a fantastic job giving voice to a diverse set of speakers. So thank you for that. So just to set the stage a bit, you know, we have an audience here full of innovators and researchers, entrepreneurs, policymakers, private companies, and more. It is really my hope that this session and other sessions like this session provide you with a snapshot of how farmers, and in this case, this session, you know, how our women farmers are thinking about today's challenges and how they are building sustainable businesses for the future. So I've got a number of questions that I'm going to go through, and then hopefully we'll have some time at the end for audience Q&A. But let's begin with Judith Redmond. Judith, can you please tell us about your operation, Full Belly Farm? Love the name, by the way. And if you could talk about resiliency and what that means to your farming operation. We've seen many, many headlines lately calling out resiliency, and that the COVID-19 pandemic really exposed the fragility of our supply chain, and also put a laser focus on what our consumers are seeking from the food system. So I'll hand it over to you, Judith.
Thank you very much, Jen. Thank you to all of our hosts and attendees. So I'm one of the founding owners of Full Belly Farm, which is a 450-acre farm in Northern California. We were established in 1985, and we grow a mix of vegetables, fruits, and flowers. In 2013, we added to that by building a processing kitchen so that we could also produce and sell value-added products like tomato sauce, jams, hot sauce, baked goods. In addition, we have a flock of egg layers, chickens, and a herd of sheep, and the sheep are a big part of our organic soil building programs at the farm. Just one other couple interesting things about the farm. We have a multi-generational group that are owners of the farm. So there's some younger people that have come in to the farm, and I'm going to maybe get a chance to talk later about some of our programs for young people, like our internship program, our summer camps, our school groups, and things like that, which of course have all been canceled because of COVID since March, but they are a big part of our farm in the future as well as in the past. So I love the question about resiliency, because it's something that we think about, and I think about a lot, both in personal and in business terms. as a farmer in Northern California, how to face multiple challenges, both the immediate ones like the fire that's been raging on less than a mile away all of last week, as well as long-term challenges in California, business challenges like the increasing shortage of agricultural labor, the increasingly strict regulatory environment around labor. I think the concept of resiliency is often used in terms of environmental issues and the challenge of climate change. So I do think about those issues a lot. And at Full Belly, I think we've come to realize that each year is going to be different, and we just have to be adaptable. We have to be experimental, and we have to be really, really observant that that's part of our resiliency. I think that we also feel, and I also feel, that diversity is a very, very important part of resiliency. And there's several ways that I use the term diversity. One of them is that we have multiple sales outlets. We have a big element of wholesale, going to wholesale customers, but we also have a healthy portion of direct to consumer sales as well. So that's one kind of diversity of markets. I think another meaning of diversity is that we have 6 owners. And so a diversity of opinions and a diversity of voices has shaped our farm, and I believe made it better, stronger, more resilient over the long term. All of our decisions are made by a group, and I think that's an important part of diversity. Different stakeholders getting to join in. And then finally, we talk to our public a lot about diversity of our crops. We grow probably 100 different crops, and we have the animals, the flowers, that kind of thing. And in a way that provides resiliency through the insurance that if one crop fails, you're going to have a chance to invest more in other crops that hopefully won't be affected by whatever's happening. One more thing I wanted to mention, because you mentioned COVID, and our farm has been busier than ever since the shelter in place was taken, since it happened in mid-March here in California. And a big part, I believe a big part of why we've been busier than ever there's numerous reasons, but one of them is because we have a very strong online presence. We have several Instagram accounts, we have a Facebook account, and we have a program that goes direct to the public through veggie boxes. And so all of those people are kind of part of our community that we're constantly talking to them about the farm and the issues at the farm. So in March, when the shelter in place happened, the number of members of our CSA program doubled over just the course of a couple of weeks. And the same thing happened to other CSA or veggie box programs in our region. And those programs also started buying from us. So even though we lost restaurant and food service sales, we more than gained that back by increasing the numbers of our CSA. So I think we feel like in this crisis and in others that we faced, some of the efforts that we've made in the past towards being more resilient have paid off. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I'm just ecstatic to hear that you're able to weather the pandemic. I mean, other farmers have been able to find innovative ways to do that as well. And so it's just nice to know that things are going well for you. Okay, let's move to Carmen Maiman with MBS Family Farms. Carmen, why don't you tell us about your farm and in particular your commitment to doing the research and asking questions. Many years ago, you and your family made a strategic decision to invest in yourselves and joined an organization that will help you achieve your goals. You use that organization to benchmark your operation against other like-minded operations as well. So can you tell us more about your commitment to due diligence and how this has helped your farm grow and bring in that very important next generation?
Well, thank you, Jennifer, and good afternoon, Judith. Nice to meet you. Our farm, MBS Family Farms, is located in Northeast Iowa, and it's a typical Iowa farm, commercial corn. We grow soybeans for seed. And when Judith was talking about diversity, we believe that we have to be diverse as well when we're even in grain production. So we have a small trucking company, and we have a small farm management company, and we have a small seed chemical fertilizer retail business. So sometimes you have to rely on your other businesses to bring home the money when one of them is not profitable as it should be sometimes. So I've farmed together with my husband Stan since 1976. And it was the two of us until 2006 when my son and his wife came home to join our farm. And he had been away from the farm after college, working on his own for 5 years. And so when he came home, he was bringing back a lot of the things that he had learned working for another corporation, business practices. But we were a little unsure how to bring back somebody into the farm, since Stanley and I had always just worked together. And about that same time, we were contacted by an organization, Family Farms Group, which helped us figure out ways to bring Kyle and Carrie home, and how to divvy up the work, how to best use everybody's skills, how to build an org chart, and then more importantly, how to grow a business. So this group, Family Farms Group, believes that production agriculture, farming in Iowa and in other parts of the country is going to get larger. And if it does get larger, there are certain skills that we didn't necessarily have. And so this group gives us the resources. We formed a group and we hired people as resources to help us in HR, to help us in PR, to help us in crisis management, to bring up our financial acumen game, to teach us about certification. And so when anything like that comes up, if we have a problem in any of those areas, we have resources that we can contact. And it's not just resources. It's kind of like a business coach, because we're assigned a coach in Family Farms Group that we meet with regularly. And there are peer groups in this group there's general manager peer group, there's operation manager peer groups, there are dads peer groups, there are moms peer groups, and there are young farmer peer groups. And the reason that that's important is because generally we all are experiencing some of the same things. And when we were talking about generational farming, I would tell you that a few years back, Family Farms brought speakers to us in front of the whole group of farmers that are part of Family Farms Group, that they focus on the external while we can focus on the internal in our farm. And one of the speakers said that a farmer has generally 40 crops in his career. And Stan and I, having farmed since 1976, we had a few under our belt. And so it was a moment that Stan and I decided that we needed to step back and Kyle needed to step forward. And we're still here. We're still here and we're still partners, but we're not in charge. And Kyle said something so profound to me. He said, you usually get that job one of three ways. You get it if somebody dies and it's dumped on you. You get if there's trouble in paradise and somebody leaves, or you get it that job and somebody's still there to ask the questions to. And I thought that was pretty profound for him, and it has made a big difference. And it's very exciting to watch Kyle and Carrie take the lead. Many things that we did over the years, they've taken and done better. They've brought a whole bunch more technology to us. When I was in high school, I had half a semester of typing. That would have been all my technology training. I'm 62 years old, and it was scary, all the things that were coming at us, and Kyle and Carrie just navigate that so well. So we're just very fortunate to have somebody in our organization that wants to be part of something that we've built.
Carmen, you said something to me when we were talking ahead of the showcase about really, looking beyond your farm, looking beyond yourselves, and finding that cohort. And so it sounds like you found that cohort, and You know, from a division of labor perspective, both of you sound like you've got a lot of hands on deck to work through the farming operations on a day-to-day basis.
We're very lucky.
So I wanted to get into a couple questions that I'll pose to both of you, and take it in what order you want. But the food and agricultural sector is experiencing very rapid change, and that's due to a number of drivers. One of those drivers being the very and ever increasing importance that our consumers have on how we make decisions at the farm level. Given the disconnect that many consumers feel in terms of the way that their food is produced, and this is really something that I think has rung true throughout the showcase, and many speakers have highlighted this, you know, this lack of confidence and this disconnect. We know as an industry that we need to employ more effective tools to help our consumers have confidence in their food, all the way from health to sustainability. Can you both talk about some of the strategies that you've embraced to better connect to your consumers?
Who do you want to speak?
Well, we can go with you,
Okay.
since you spoke up first.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to call this on a short-term basis. We tipped our toe into some agritourism. For a few years, we had a U-pick squirrel corn maze, and it got kids out into the field. It wasn't a, where they had produce they could take home. It was just the squirrel corn that they picked. And along the way, there were messages telling them if they were doing right or wrong. But it was kind of like, the story about him and Haw, who moved my cheese. And there were messages along the way that the kids really seemed to enjoy. And then we do a 5th grade safety school here, where the 5th graders all come out on the bus and they spend the day here, and they go through different stations of farm safety. And we also do a 4th grade ag day, and it's about the soil. There's all kinds of it's about germination. There's all kinds of stations that they go to, starting with the seed, ending with the product, and they seem to really enjoy that. And I think it's been 20 years or so that I've taught at the high school. There is a teacher that has an ag unit, and I've taught production agriculture, but mostly I teach the business end of it. And I teach the need for that kind of knowledge, and that any job that those kids want to do, those high schoolers want to do, there's a place in agriculture for them. There's a place in modern day agriculture for them. That if they want to be a human resource person, we need that. If they want to be an ag technology person, we need that. So go to school for ag and bring them back that information. And when that's really important, because at MBS, we try to be a premier employer in the area, because we were tired of the kids, all our talent leaving the area. And we have small schools in our area, in our county. And if we can create a business that provides good quality jobs, they can come back from college. They can have their families here. Their kids can go to school here, and they can live near their parents. And all of that is what's important to us at MBS.
Judith, do you want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, well, we've been we're an organic farm, and so we've been very much a part of building the sustainable agriculture and the organic agriculture and the buy fresh, buy local movements. And I think that those efforts have really pioneered the idea of transparency, so that the buy fresh, buy local, the name of the farm often follows the product. It's not mixed into a product with a bunch of other farms. But so I think we are a farm that really believes in transparency, and but that has to be coupled clearly with a lot of education. And so we've developed over the years a very strong public outreach program. I mentioned earlier that before COVID, we had a number of programs for kids, like we have school groups come to the farm in the spring and the fall, or we used to. We have a summer camp that takes place here. We hold a lot of regular events like tours and classes, and But there's in the past been a very large annual fall festival here at the farm. But I think one of the most impactful, I think all of those things have been very impactful, because we've had kids who can be part of the kids camp, then become a camp counselor, then volunteer at the hose down. You know, as they get older, they basically have formed a relationship with the farm, and maybe their families getting our CSA box. So they have a very robust connection to our farm over their entire life. Some of them, you know, I mean, we started our CSA program in 1992. So there's families whose kids just grew up with us. But I think one of the most impactful things we have is our internship program. And there's kids from all over the world that want to be interns. They want to learn more about agriculture. They want to have a more grounded connection to the place where they work. So we have had for ever since we started 5 interns here every year. And these are people that then go on into farming or all of the other things that Carmen mentioned, like other things that are related to agriculture, seeds and research and just, you know, all kinds of careers connected to agriculture. And these kids get a lot out of being here for a year. We require them to be at the farm for a year if they're going to be an intern. And I was in the kitchen yesterday talking to one of our interns, and he said being at Full Belly has changed my life. I feel more motivated in this job than I've ever felt in any job that I've had. At the end of the day, even if I was just weeding eggplant all day, I feel that I have done something important. So it's very clear that being grounded, being connected to your food, and being connected to a living system is very meaningful to the kids. But there's one other thing that I want to mention in terms of outreach, and for us as part of the organic and sustainable ag movement, we know that the growth of organic agriculture wouldn't have been possible if we had not been participating on the boards of nonprofit organizations. And each of the owners, the founding owners, the 4 founding owners, is very active in the community on various different boards and with various different shaping organizations that helped to shape our industry. So I think that partnership between family farming and the NGOs of the world has been a very critical driver for us helping the public understand what organic agriculture is really about.
I think that segues really nicely into my last question. And it really gets to something that we heard yesterday during Jack Bobo's presentation. He talked about the importance of really, you know, determining what your why is and why you do what you're doing, and how that really is key to winning over our consumers and our critics. And I guess I would ask both of you, you know, what is your why? Why do you do what you do, and why should that matter for our consumers? Judith, you want to take that one first this time?
Well, we just have a few moments left, I think. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I think we can go a little bit longer. The others have, so I'm following there.
Well, I think the why for me, ever since I started here, has been that I believe that agriculture has a really important role to play in solving so many of today's problems. And I could give a number of examples, but I maybe don't have time. But I just want to remember, you know, it's health, environmental quality, climate change, all of those things. I think agriculture plays a really big role in being a solution in those areas. And in 2006, when California passed our Global Warming Solutions Act, not one agricultural group, except the one that I was a board member of, signed on. And we endorsed that. And since then, California has become a leader in amazing programs that have helped farmers become a part of the solution to climate change. There's some of the most some of the best programs in the world are happening here in California as a part of the state government and as a part of the Global Warming Solutions Act. So I think that's just been a wonderful experience for me to see from the very beginning how agriculture wasn't considered even relevant. In fact, was considered the problem. And now it's understood that we're part of the solution. I think we all have to keep our voices on that prize, keep our minds there, because agriculture is a big part of solution.
Awesome. Carmen, real quick, your why.
Well, I believe that we're part of the solution as well. And just for commercial farming in Iowa, at what we do, we most of our grain goes for ethanol and livestock feed. So we're part of a renewable fuel source for the United States, and also providing a consistent product. When the hogs are in Iowa and the corn's in Iowa, we are part of that system by providing the feed. So I would say that is one of my whys. Another why is building a legacy through traditional family values. I think that it's important for us to grow our business, like I said, so that there are good jobs in rural America.
Thank you. Dan, do we have time for I see there's one question.
We do have a question from Brianne. She asks, and maybe all three of you could answer this one, what would you say to a woman who's planning to enter the ag space? Do you have a one line of advice?
Well, I think there's lots of opportunity. And I think, if there is someone who is interested, I mean, the key is networking. And so, find those people who will help you, through the course of your career, and, always be true to yourself and find your authenticity. So I'll throw that out.
Carmen?
And the whole conference has been about collaboration. And you put somebody that's wanting to be in the ag space in with a group of women, that if that's what they want to be with, or a group of like-minded farmers in any capacity, they will mentor and they will share. And they wouldn't have to think of everything. What's been done in the past is probably very relevant. I'm sure Judith and I have very many commonalities that we could share with whoever, and we would be happy to.
And Judith?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to underestimate that that agriculture still is kind of a male-dominated environment. And so women, I think, do need to look to other women for mentorship and support sometimes. But I also think, just for young people in general, I really agree with what the other two women said. Just be authentic and follow your heart. There's so much pressure right now on young people to have plans and figure everything out and be all ready and professional, but really you need to follow your heart. And if your heart is going to be, I think your heart will be happy in agriculture and farming. It's a wonderful place to peg your career.
And Judith, I want to just have you quickly tell us about your community. I've heard through the grapevine that you and your community have been volunteering as firefighters while the fires burn near you.
Yeah, that's a wonderful resilience story. We are right on the edge of one of the really large fires in California, right on the edge. I mean, it's across the road. And, CAL FIRE, the wildfire fighting force in California, was fighting 700 fires. I mean, there's over 1 million acres that are burned. And I'm the commissioner of the Cape Valley Volunteer Fire Department, and the fire department did an amazing job. It's their job to protect structures, and they did an amazing job, but it was with the help of pretty much every able-bodied person in the valley. We got our discs out, we got our irrigation hoses out, we basically protected the homes in the valley. It was
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
Jen, final word from you on this panel?
Yeah, the one thing I would just encourage everyone who's listening to thank a farmer any chance you get. And I guess for today, let's start with these two. So thank you, Judith and Carmen.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jen. And thank you to our panelists. That concludes our final panel of the day. There's just one more place for you to go, and that is to log out of this session and on to our final keynote speaker of the day, as Rohit is now introducing Ray Cameron to bring the Ag Innovation Showcase to a close.